Welcome to another awesome video lesson from Bauer Guitar Lessons. I'm Brent Bauer, Mr. Brent, and this is for the week of June 15th, 2018, and this lesson was...
For me, Daniel.
Yes, for you, and it was, what do you think, awesome?
Awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely was.
Oh, yeah.
So we did a lot. We had a cool, fun 90-minute lesson today.
Fancy.
Oh yeah, very fancy. So the first thing we did is we went back into the learning the notes, where we learned all of our tools to be able to find notes on the E string, and we focused on the first 5 frets. So let's go through them a little bit. We reviewed the music alphabet, which is that nice big circle, and we got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then after G we just go back to A. That's 7 letters right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now with that, we reviewed the 3 parts, that it's continuous and never ends. It can start on any letter, and we can go forwards and backwards through the alphabet. So now with that, we went to the string names, and we went ahead and put one of those letters on the strings. So now let's go ahead and zoom in real quick. Okay, so we've got, oh yes, zoom. We've got 6 strings here. Now going from the top to bottom is how we're gonna name them. So we had string numbers, but they're string names, and that's just one of the letters in the music alphabet. So we start on the top with E. Then string 5 is A, string 4 is D, string 3 is G, string 2 is B, and string 1 is E. So E, A, D, G, B, E. Now notice we have 2 E strings. So the way we differentiate them is the top one sounds low, so it's low E string, and the bottom one sounds high, so it's the high E string. Now we got a fun little phrase to help us remember this. So if you think of elephants and donkeys got big ears. So remember that G string is got. So not have, it would just be got. So think of really bad grammar right there. Awesome job. Alright, so now we've got the string names. So now all we do is we go through the process of going through the alphabet. But before we go through that, we got the 3 types of notes. So now all 7 of those letters have 3 types of notes. Natural notes, sharp notes, and flat notes. So if you look at your paper real quick, you'll see a lovely drawing of a house right there. And what that house is it's showing the 3 levels. The main floor is the natural notes, so it's right in the middle. And then upstairs is the sharp notes. And then in the basement are the flat notes. So let's use the G notes as our example. Let's zoom in on the fretboard. Let's go to fret 3 on the low E string. That's our G natural note. Now with natural notes, all we have to say is the letter itself, G note. But when we do sharp or flats, we got to say sharp or flat after it. G sharp, G flat, A sharp, A flat. So now we've got fret 3 here, G note, and that's right in the middle. Now if we go up 1 fret to fret 4, we get G sharp. So it's still a G note, but it's a little bit higher in sound there, higher in pitch. Now if we go back to our natural note, if we go down 1, we get our G flat. So these 3 frets here span the whole 3 types of notes, the natural, the sharp, and the flat. Sharp notes are coming towards us on the fretboard. Flat notes are going away from us on the fretboard. So if we have here, like this is a G flat note going away, but if we think it coming towards us, it's actually an F sharp note. We're going to see that in just a little bit. Alright, very cool job. So those are 3 types of notes. Now the last little thing we need, the last little tool, is the distance between the notes, and that's what's something we call steps, whole steps or half steps. So a whole step on the guitar is when we have a fret in between. So if I go from that G note to fret 5, which is an A note, we've got a fret in between right here. That's what we call a whole step. If we went right to the very next fret, fret 4, that would be called a half step, and that means there's no gap, no frets in between. So a whole step, fret in between, or we can call it a gap. Half step, no frets in between, no gaps. So whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Alright, very cool. Now with that, we can be able to find the notes on the first 5 frets for the E string. Any of the strings actually, but we're just going to use the E string right now. So let's zoom back in and see what we got here. Okay, so now we can be able to have all the tools. Now the one last thing we want to do is we have the natural notes, all the natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All of them are whole steps except for B to C, E to F. So that's when we're doing naturals. A to B is a whole step, C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, F to G is a whole step, G to A. The only ones that are half steps are B to C, E to F. Now with that, let's go to our E string, the 0th fret here, which is E. The letter that comes after E in the music alphabet is B. E to F is one of those exceptions. It's a half step. Also a cool phrase to remember the half steps, if you think of be careful, Eddie farted. That's B to C, E to F. So now we got E to F here, which means we got a half step, which means there's no fret in between, no gap. F notes on fret 1. Then we've got F to G as a whole step, so G's on fret 3. G to A is a whole step, A is on fret 5. So we got E, F, G, A. So the first thing is to get the natural notes. Now once you got that, we can go ahead and fill in the gaps here. Fret 2 and fret 4 are where the natural notes aren't, so they are the sharp or flat notes. So if we go to fret 2, we're in between F and G. If we go upstairs in the house of F, we get F sharp, because we're going towards us. But if we go away from us, we got that G note, we get G flat. So coming towards us, it's F sharp. Going away from us is G flat. Now going to fret 4, we're in between G and A. So if we go towards us, G sharp. If we go away from us, A flat. Cool, so let's turn on some drums real quick. And we're just going to go through these notes. We're going to start with naturals, then sharps, and then flats. And let's just say the notes out loud together. So here we go. We've got the E note, F note, G note, A note. One more time. E note, F note, G note, the A note. Sharp notes, F sharp, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Flat notes, G flat, A flat. One more time. G flat, A flat. Alright, very cool, awesome job. So know that now those are the first 5 frets for the E string. And the cool thing is, you got another E string, and it's the exact same. E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, A. So go ahead and practice those, and you can go ahead and through that E string game. And then for next week, we're really going to dive in and be able to go through all these strings. So stay tuned for that one. Awesome job. And now that brings us to the next thing, which we got is the chromatic exercise, where we went through the D string, the A string, and the low E string. So now I want you to go and practice that, going through 9th fret all the way down to fret 1. And then we also came up with a cool little riff. So let's just go ahead and zoom in, and let's see what we got here. Okay, so we were going through A string on fret 9, all the way down to fret 1. And one thing I want you to do when you get to the lower frets here, go ahead and take your other hand and just use your pinky to help guide it, you know, more around the center of the fret or closer away from the fret bar right there. So that would just help you to be able to get the stretches there. You're going to do the same for the E string when you go to fret 9, all the way down to fret 1. Just try and make sure you get each one clean. Now we did a little song, and that was from the White Stripes. It's called Seven Nation Army, which is on the A string. We're on fret 7 here on the A string. We played 2 times. And then we got a stretch with our pinky. And if we think of that chromatic, it's on fret 10 on the same string. And then back to fret 7. So we've got... Now from here, we're just going to go down, going away from us on the A string. We're going to go a whole step down to fret 5, whole step down to fret 3, and then a half step to fret 2. So we've got... And there's our little riff there. Very cool job. So go ahead and have some fun with that song. You also got a recording of it, so awesome job. Did really good there. So now once you just go through the chromatic exercise on the D, the A, and the low E strings, and then for next time we're going to go into the next level to it, so stay tuned for that one. Awesome job. And then that brought us to the last thing, going back to Cornerstone by Hillsong, and we went ahead and used something called the key of C, and we start to learn what that is. So we're starting to introduce music keys. Got a little whiteboard here, so let's zoom in on the board. Now key of C, we start with the letter C, that's the C note right there. Go through the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And that'll take us back to C. And we put a number underneath each one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. C was the 1, D was the 2, etc. right there. And then we put Roman numerals. Now if we look at it, we have uppercase Roman numerals and lowercase. The uppercase 1, 4, and 5 are the major chords in a major key. And that's for any key. If we had like something like the key of D or key of E, those are always the major chords. 2, 3, and 6 are the minor chords. You see a lowercase m after each one. D minor, E minor, A minor. And then 7 is called what we call the diminished chord. And that's basically the least favorite chord in the key. Not used very often. Okay, so with that, we went over the 6 main chords, the open chords. Remember open chords when we're having open strings in it. So let's go ahead and zoom in and let's see these chords real quick. Okay, so first chord, the 1 is the C chord. And we're going to start with our thumb coming down, muting out that low E string. And then our first, second, and third fingers. First finger on the B string, fret 1. Second on the D string, fret 2. Third on fret 3 on the A string. Strum through. Now that's going to take us to our D minor chord. D minor chord, we're going to keep muting out that low E string with our thumb. First finger, fret 1 on the high E string. Second finger, fret 2 on the G string. And third finger, fret 3 on the B string. E minor, second and third fingers on fret 2, second finger on the A string, third finger on the D string, everything else is open. Now that takes us to the F chord. F chord we're going to break down into steps. Mute out that low E string. First finger is going to actually hold down the B and E strings on fret 1. Going to have a little angle here, so your finger is going to be pointing towards you. And then step 2, after you get those to ring out, second finger goes to the G string, fret 2. And then step 3, your third finger is going to go to the D string on fret 3. Also, you want your third finger to mute out the A string right there. So you're just going to lightly brush up against it. That's how the F chord sounds. Then we got that G chord. Okay, first finger on the A string, second finger on the low E, third and fourth on the B and E strings. And then that A minor chord. And that's the 6th and final one. Alright, very cool, awesome job. So now I want you to go through each one of those 6 main chords and then really work on trying to get each one to ring out and just muting out the ones you need to. So remember the ones you're muting out, C chord, D minor, F chord, A minor chords. Awesome. And then go through Cornerstone, which is just C, A minor, F, and G, or 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression. Very cool job. So again, for practicing for this week, what I want you to do is I want you to go through the E string on the first 5 frets, and if you need to, just brush up on the 3 types of notes, the whole steps, half steps, and all that stuff. And then also go through the chromatic exercise on the top 3 strings, D, A, and low E strings. And then also go through the 6 main chords in Cornerstone, C, D minor, E minor, F, G, and A minor, and you'll be all set for next week. Alright, that's going to wrap up this video lesson, so I hope you got a lot out of it, enjoyed yourself, so stay tuned because there's plenty more coming, and always remember, always strive to be in perfect harmony. Take care.
Oh yeah.